This is a story that my grandmother used to tell us. I will call my grandma Kaka. That is the pet name we all called her. Mbangeri, Mbangeri was the initial call, and we would answer Tebere. Once upon a time, there lived a man called Rutumuka. Rutumuka means one who moves aimlessly. Tebere, Tebere. My grandmother had told us many stories, but there was one story that stood out for me, and almost every day I would beg her to retell it. She would then ask me to first sing one of the songs in the story, and I would sing. Satisfied that I could remember the song, she would go on. Rutumuka lived in a kingdom called Rubanda. At that time, Rubanda was ruled by a king named Rutinwa. Rutumuka and Rutinwa were cousins. Rutumuka had one wife, and together they had a daughter who was named Nyamahunde. Kaka, what does Nyamahunde mean? One endowed with beauty. But the whole village preferred calling her Karagwire, which means the cursed one. Why? Well, because she was the only child of her parents who also happened to be a girl. What's wrong with that? In that society, success and prestige was measured according to the number of cattle one had, the number of children, especially sons one had, and the number of wives one had. Remember, Rutumuka had only one child, a girl. Although Rutumuka was from the royal family, he was not a rich man. He had a few cows and therefore could not marry many wives. He had nothing to give in their exchange as bride wealth. His social status made him an outcast. He was always laughed and discriminated against by his peers. The same fate was endured by his wife and daughter. He was always pressured to get another wife so that he would not die childless. But he was not childless. In that society, he was considered childless. But lucky, I'm going to stop this story if you do not keep quiet. All this ostracizing that Rutumuka faced from his peers made him hate his wife for giving birth to a girl. He constantly beat his wife and daughter and decided that since he was suffering because of them, he would not do anything to cater for their well-being. He became an alcoholic. Why was Nyamahunde, the girl in the story, not liked by her father and other people in the kingdom? Kaka never answered that question. She grazed cows, fetched water, collected firewood, and all the other chores at home. While grazing, she constantly fought with boys who always underlooked her and made fun of her. Would she beat them up, or would they beat her up? What do you think? I think she would beat them up, and I would beat them up too. Enough. You can decide who beats who when it is your turn to retell the story. At that time, the kingdom of Rubanda was experiencing a long drought. Cows and crops were dying. The king decided to call all rainmakers, prophets, and soothsayers to tell him what was going on and what the kingdom needed to do in turn to turn the face of God to the kingdom's plight. Do you remember the most important man who was among the foretellers? Yes, Kabandinze, the oldest man in the kingdom. That's right. So, Kabandinze told the king that the drought was going to last a long time and that many people would die. He said, "There is food at the top of Mountain Rabanunya, so whoever climbs it will save the kingdom from the famine." Now, Mountain Rabanunya was the highest mountain in the whole kingdom. No one had ever climbed it, for it was said that no one could ever go there and come back. The king made a declaration that whoever would climb the mountain and bring food would be given his daughter's hand in marriage and would also succeed him as the next king. It's interesting to me how memories come back. I never waited for my grandmother to finish the stories. My mind would be babbling with questions. And this story, my grandmother's story, is all that occupied my mind as I made my 2 days journey, 27 hours of flight from Entebbe International Airport, Uganda, to Los Angeles International Airport, California. As the plane descended to Los Angeles Airport, my mind was not on the sun outside, nor was it on the tall buildings that seemed to kiss the sky. I was thinking how far away I was from everything that had always meant so much to me all the years of my life. My mind could not comprehend how far away I was from the familiar. Was I Nyamahunde, nicknamed Katawide, the cursed one, climbing Mountain Rabanunya? I wondered. The day was Saturday, September 9th, 2006. I felt the tires of the plane race on the ground below me, and I knew that there was no turning back. No turning back on the decision I had made. Inspired by my grandmother's folktale, right from my childhood, I never wanted to be a version of what a girl must do. Sit like this. Why? Because this is the way girls must sit. Why? Because this is the way it is supposed to be. Who said I am saying so? Why? Up to now, Mother reminds me that I was a handful. Memories. The house I grew up in. My favorite room was our living room, and it was decorated with all the important persons in the history of the Church of Uganda. And the photographs in the living room, Tata and Mama with our firstborn, Emmanuel, Tata with some of his favorite cows and a huge bull with curved horns, Tata while in school in his khaki shorts, his hair combed backwards, separated in front. The separation looks like a tiny path. All of us. My sister Naomi carrying my younger brother Samuel. Naomi later died of leukemia at 20. My other sister, Phoebe, and of course, yours truly. My father loved photos. Across the dining room table hung a red plaque with golden letters in bold. Christ is the head of this house, the unseen guest at every meal, the silent listener to every conversation. It was that plaque that I sometimes used to practice my English reading skills. Before doing my mischief, I would check under the chairs to make sure Christ was not hiding there. Christ, is it true you are hiding somewhere seeing everything I do? Well, if you are somewhere, I am going to do something little. I hope you won't be angry with me. Even if you do not applaud, it's all right. I had held many public and private performances in our living room. Every Sunday, we would all go to church. The other children would go to Sunday school, but for some reason, I never enjoyed Sunday school. I always escaped to get back to the main church. I would squeeze myself between my parents and hold onto my father's hand, knowing that if I didn't do that, the Sunday school teacher would easily snatch me away and take me back to the boring Sunday school. My opportune moments came after church. With my parents resting in their room, I would conduct my own services. My siblings and cousins would warn me, one day they will get you, and they will spank you. Don't say we never warned you. Look at me, all of you. Don't laugh. You are all going to die. What will you say to your maker? What will the maker say to you? Will he thank you for the work you did here on earth? Think about it. This world is round. Uganda is round. Full stop. One of my siblings would burst out laughing. As I was saying, Uganda is round. This world is round and round and round and round and... Oh my God. My father came and helped me down. I knew that I was in trouble again, as always. Then, my father was fighting hard not to laugh. My mother was fixing her gaze on me with a straight face, and that threatened me. But looking at my father, pressing his lips together, laughing, was so funny. Father joined me, and Mother stared in disbelief. Father and I laughed and laughed really hard. And then I saw my mother come towards me, and I could see that she was about to use her hands on me, and my father shielded me. I think they must have disagreed on whether I should be punished or not, or what kind of punishment I should get. Some minutes later, Lucky? Yes, Mama? Come here with a cane. There was a specific cane to beat me with. As soon as I came in with the cane, my father walked out. Why was father letting me be punished for nothing? My mother gave me 2 strokes. Imitating people is bad. These are bad manners, and you should never imitate people ever again. Do you hear me? From now on, no more attending the adult church services. Go now. And why aren't you crying, eh? Are you telling me you did not feel any pain or what? Of course, I felt the pain. But I had decided that I would never cry, no matter how hard she caned me. As for their priest, I continued imitating him, but I made sure not to do it in my home. All these memories flashed in my mind throughout my journey, those moments where I have had to make my own decisions and to stand by them. Now, as I sat on the plane to my final destination, my favorite folk tale, the one Kaka told me every single night, became so fresh in my mind. I could identify with the girl in the folk tale, her decision to climb the mountain when everyone else was opposing her. The song was occupying my mind as the voices of the crew kept cutting through. Your crew is here to make your flight comfortable. We are now going to explain, in the unlikely event where we may have to do an emergency landing. As we prepare to take off, ensure that your trays and... We hope you have a relaxed and enjoyable flight. My mind slipped back to those elementary school days where only 10% of the class would be girls. They would always sit quietly as the boys had a field day bullying them. Why do you wear the same sweater every day? And she sits with her legs pulled up to her chin. Girls are not supposed to sit like that. My favorite time at school was the storytelling session, and the teacher would ask who wanted to be first to tell a story. She would invite me up. Once upon a time, long, long time ago, there lived a man who sired only one girl, and her name was Nyama Hunde. But everyone in the village called her Karagwide, the cursed one. And Karagwide grew up to be a strong and fearless girl. One time, she beat up a young man. Of course, the boys in my class got so offended. That is not true. A girl cannot beat a boy. In my story, the girl beats the boy. She beats fined for not teaching her daughter that girls do not fight. They only allow themselves to be beaten. Is that fair? A confident yes from the young boys, and a faint no, almost inaudible from the girls, was unmistakable. That was the part that made me angry. If girls were there to be beaten, then I did not want to be a girl. I wanted to be a boy. I wanted it so much, so much so that I used to ask people what I could do to change myself into a boy. Someone had even told me that if I lie down on my back, facing the sun, and counted up to 1,000, I would turn into a boy. 999, 1,000. When that didn't work, I waged a war against dresses and skirts. I refused to wear them and demanded that my parents buy me boys' clothes. I remember at home, whenever there would be visitors, I would convince my brother, who is close to me in age, to loan me his shorts and shirts, and we would even trade names. At night, after Kaka would retell me the Yamahunde story, I would go to sleep confident that although the sun refused to turn me into a boy, I could still do anything boys do and be anything that a boy can be. That was yet to be proved. One of those moments came in my 7th grade. It was my final year in primary school, and soon I was going to join secondary school, far away from home, and would be in boarding school. There was always a major event for 7th graders to say goodbye to the school by staging a concert. All parents of the school would be invited. It was really big. I had always admired an art form that is done among the Banyankore, a nationality that occupies the southwestern part of Uganda. That is where my mother comes from. In Kinyankore culture, men compose ebievugo in praise of their women and heroes of the community. At wedding ceremonies, if the groom's family does not perform ekievugo in appreciation of the bride's family, the wedding ceremony can even be stopped until it is performed. And one day, from a wedding ceremony, I asked my parents, why is it that I had never seen women performing ekievugo? Because women cannot do it. Why? That is the way God designed it. Lucky. In some of our cultures, roles between men and women, boys and girls, are very divided. Even in the art forms? Yes, even in the art forms. In our neighborhood, there was an old man who was famous for his skill in ekievugo. He would neither read nor write. I went to him and asked him to teach me how to perform ekievugo. Every day after school, I would run ahead of the other children and first go to the old man. He would recite a paragraph or two as I would transcribe everything in my little notebook. It must have taken me a week or so, and finally, the writing was over, and my next task was to memorize it. When our entertainment teacher was making the program for our concert, I went to him and told him that I wanted to perform something at the concert. He said it would not be possible as this was an art form only done by men. The following day, I went to our entertainment teacher and told him that my father had given me permission to perform ekievugo. My father was not even at home, and I was praying that between then and the day of the concert, he would not meet my parents. So, with my lie, I was put on the list and left his office murmuring a prayer, asking God to forgive me for telling a lie. The days that followed, I worked hard memorizing the lines that were covering 10 pages of the notebook. Oh, and on D-Day, I was so nervous, unsure of how my parents and the whole community would look at me or receive my performance. I went on stage, sick to my stomach, my hands holding the small spear were sweaty and practically shaking, and my breath was coming in hard, and for some reason my eyes went directly to where my parents were seated. My mother went like this. I believe, trying to conceal her eyes from seeing the embarrassment I was about to cause her, my father's eyes were on me. He was seated at the edge of his seat, and when our eyes made contact, he smiled. That smile made all the words I had forgotten come back. Now, the art form I was going to perform calls for verbal responses from the audience, a call and response type of thing. So the response would be, "Hey!" I made the initial call. Hey! The audience responds with A. I stopped, not sure whether I should proceed. Everyone except for my father was giving me a strange look. I looked at my father. He rose to his feet. I knew that he was trying to tell me that it was okay, a sign for me to continue. I decided to do it for my father. After delivering my last line, I ran to my father and fell into his arms crying. I heard hand claps that sounded like rain on iron sheets, and I turned to run backstage. And that was when I saw that almost everyone was on their feet. It became clear to me that at last, in that school, no one would ever refuse a girl child to perform that art form ever again. I had done it, so anyone could do it. When I was booking my ticket, I had asked to sit by the window throughout my journey, from Entebbe, Uganda to Addis Ababa, Ethiopia, Addis Ababa, Ethiopia to Dubai, United Arab Emirates, Dubai, United Arab Emirates to Heathrow, London, Heathrow, London to Los Angeles, California, USA, and now aboard VS 007Y, seated on 33C. We have been an hour into the air. My eyes have not left the window. The clear blue sky, the ocean below, and voices are ringing in my head.
Congratulations, Lockie. Good things come to those who work hard. But listen, Lockie, don't go and disappear. Please come back to us. Lockie, are you sure about this?
I doubt that she will ever come back.
Lockie, how can you throw away a well-paying job like this?
Lockie, please do us a favor and don't bring someone here we can't communicate with.
Lockie, most people your age do not get that kind of salary here in Uganda, you know?
Lockie, I saw right from the beginning that you are a restless soul. You can never have stayed here among your own people. There is no money in the theater, and you know that. What are you doing?
She has always done things a little differently. That is the only place that can understand her.
I totally support you. Go, girl. I think you'll be a big name.
Music. Dance, and drama department has been thinking of taking you on as an assistant teacher. That means you would be holding 2 jobs. That's not little money, Lucky.
I have always known that the silence she carries herself with is always accompanied by something, a desire to go away from here.
Lucky, do you ever think of getting married at all? Whatever. Don't listen to what people are saying. I want to see your name in a huge movie. You know, as one of the writers, receiving some award.
And behind my back, voices still came.
Why doesn't she get married first? At least give us a child. Then she can go on with her endless studying.
Murdering her future. The biological clock, Lockie. Tick, tock, tick.
Tears fill my eyes. They are not warm, they are hot. I feel I cannot do it, but at the same time, I know that there is no turning back. I adjust my seat to create enough room for my feet. Calaguire's song floats in my mind again. I wonder what Father would have said if he were still alive. What about Kaka? Do they see me where they are? Do they have a conversation about me? Do they approve of my decision? Father, I remember how you blessed me when I was going to Makerere University to study something that most people despise. Some still do. Music, dance, and drama. But everyone calls it MDD. Its mockers call it Musilu Dala Dala, which translates to mean a fool through and through, a study for the fools. Mother would not hear of it. My elder brother had studied accounting, my late sister died when she was studying information science and librarianship, my other sister had graduated in business studies, my second brother wanted to be a lawyer, and I was going to study to be a what? Who can employ a performing artist? Well, what do you think you are going to depend on for the rest of your life? And what will the villagers say? That so-and-so's daughter is studying what? Musilu Dala Dala to be a fool through and through? Oh, that is out of the question. Father, what do you say? Father was always diplomatic. He never wanted us children to see him disagreeing with our mother. So he said that they were going to talk about it some more. Talking they did, and finally there was consensus. But remember the way we brought you up. No swearing. Yes. Never get into a performance that requires you to take off your clothes. That is not a joke. No acting nude. That is what we mean. Yes. Or semi-nude for that matter. Okay, mother. Promise us you will not be promiscuous. You see, in my culture, a blessing from a parent is something that we really treasure. Your parent is a representation of God here on earth. Their voice is the voice of God. But with going to grad school at California Institute of the Arts, I did not seek a blessing. I just informed my mother. What if this goes wrong? What if I made a mistake by not asking mother's opinion about my decision? What if, with all those what ifs in my mind, exhaustion and sleep took over, and my soul found itself with my grandmother? And I am dressed in my childhood shorts and a t-shirt. It is the younger me before grandmother. I look behind me. There is a hut, her hut. It looks familiar, but there is something strange about it. It seems to be covered by clouds, yet it is a bright, sunny afternoon. Kaka, is this where you live? She invites me in. Inside the hut, I choose to sit on a beautiful cowskin next to her. Her eyesight is really bad. She feels me with her hands and asks if she can touch my feet and toes. I find it funny and strange, but I do not object. Then I feel someone touch my shoulder gently, and I make a stir. I wake up and see that it's the air hostess in the aisle. She signals me to adjust my seatbelt and buckle up. That was grandmother. I was with grandmother. Does she dwell in space now? Ladies and gentlemen, you should be landing in 10 minutes at Los Angeles Airport. The dream. Grandmother didn't bless me. Welcome to Los Angeles International Airport, ladies and gentlemen. Please remain in your seats until the aircraft has come to a complete stop. Those who have connecting flights and need assistance, please approach any of our staff. If Los Angeles is your final destination, you must go through the customs. This applies to both citizens and visitors. I wish this plane would take forever to come to a complete stop. That is just wishful thinking. Did I remember to put all the important documents for the migrations office in my handbag? Much as I have a visa, my getting into the United States depends on that one man or woman I am about to encounter in the migration. It does not take long, and I am before the migrations officer. It is like he has been told that if he did not frown, the world would come to an end. I beg your pardon, sir? I'm still not getting him. Okay, I'm just gonna have to guess. I think he wants my passport. Here, sir. I'm coming here to study. Yes, a student. Am I 20? Ah, yes, sir. Here, sir. I beg your pardon, sir. Finger. Oh, my fingerprints. Index finger. Oh, I'm sorry. I didn't realize you wanted my right index finger. Here, sir. Oh, my left index finger as well. He is stamp admitted in between the pages of my passport. Finally, California Institute of the Arts. Keys to my room, a handbook for student residents, a welcome note from the housing office, my room. How about lying on this bed just to make sure that I fit? My father occupies my mind. This is going to sound weird, but there are times when I feel that he is behind me or next to me, and he is watching me. But when I turn, he is not there. Right now, I have the urge to open the door and peek through the corridor. Now I'm being stupid. He would not be there, of course. But what if I opened the door and I found him standing there? I must stop these thoughts. The times I have dreamt that I am with him, we never get to talk. I always see him a distance away from me. When I try catching up with him, I either wake up or he disappears. If only he could appear to me somehow and tell me that he approves of my decision to come here. What if only I could dream of him again? But you cannot force yourself to dream. Dreams come when they want. When I was young, my dreams used to trouble me because most of the things I would dream about would come to pass. Sometimes I would fear to sleep, so I did not dream. But my kaka always said, God speaks to you in your dreams. Don't fear to hear the voice of God. I begin to pray, and before I can say amen, I am asleep and grandmother appears again. Your father says, that's how it's meant to be. Stop fighting yourself and destiny. What is to happen must happen. Give me your right hand. Your father says, I hold your right hand in both my hands as a sign of acceptance. I bless all that there is about you. Be you. Don't be who you are not. You have no visible enemies to deter you from achieving your dreams. The only enemy that you have is invisible. The enemy lives inside of you. If you would overcome you, you would have overcome the greatest and worst enemy. On the bed, I turn, roll over. I cannot push these tears back. I don't know whether they are tears of joy, or of pain, or of wonder, or of confusion, or of fear.
Yeah.
What if I don't measure up? Fear.
Yeah.
What if I disappoint them? Fear.
Yeah.
What if I disappoint me? Fear.
Yeah.
What if I succeed? Fear.
Yeah.
What if I become famous? Fear.
Yeah.
What if I can't contain it? I am not going to write this in a dream in my notebook. I am going to put it in a story. It will be my story, Karagwide's story. I will also put her triumphant song in this story.
无法抽屉里曾把